Tables that just happened, it sounded like from the summary that you had very good discussions and some, and that there was good value from it, and I hope you take forward what you picked up from the round tables. Now we're going to have the final roundup, but before we do, just a reminder, we've got the evaluation forms are on the desks. Please make sure you complete the evaluation forms and give us your opinions. All we do is organise the industry's conference. It's your conference. We take our lead from you. So please fill in the evaluation forms. We take them very seriously and share your thoughts on how we can continue or build on making this the industry's conference, giving you the conference that your industry and your companies deserve. So please take the time to do that. We're going to have the big debate now, and then afterwards we'll have a very short summary at the end to finalise, to close the conference. But we leave this session till last because the moderator is too good. And I don't want to look bad by being before him or after him. So I'd like to welcome to the podium the moderator of the big debate, Prem Verma, who for today only is not from Tata Motors. Thank you very much, Prem.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Louis is aware that normally when I start speaking here, I have a habit of removing the hat. So he has already said, don't bother to do that. He has already said, you're not from Tata Motors. You are just a moderator. And during tea break, Jasjeet also told me, he rather had a dig at me. He says, very soon you will have to stop saying that because there's nothing much left to show even if you remove the hat. So I've decided I will not remove the hat now. Okay, before we move ahead, I think, unfortunately, what happened in Chennai, our heart really goes to all those people who have got affected. In that, you must be aware, some of the people have lost their lives also. And our heart really goes out to them. And quite a few of our colleagues also could not make it because either directly or indirectly they have got impacted because of that. It also shows that, these kind of calamities which are happening not only in India, worldwide, we have seen earlier also what happened in Thailand. And they have proved that uncertainty is going to be the new certainty, especially in logistics business. I'm very happy to see Deepak Sharma also here in the panel. Deepak is a veteran of auto logistics, and I remember the days when I I came into the logistics business kind of thing. I used to take a lot of guidance from him also. I still have a big grudge against Louis, and I said last time also, I do not know why this conference is still not capturing the imagination of two-wheelers. I don't know. Is it they find this to be less glamorous, or the four-wheeler people are still in a big brother attitude? So I don't know. But something is definitely. But I think for India, and that's the reason I requested Mr. Deepak Sharma to be here, I think for India, two-wheeler business is extremely, extremely critical. Might not be for every part of the world, but for India it is very critical. And I do not think any LSP, if tomorrow given an opportunity, if any two-wheeler company goes and says that, listen, there's an opportunity and would you like to get associated with us, I don't think anyone will say no for it. So I think we must get, because I feel besides various things, two-wheeler business can be a good filler for four-wheeler business in all logistics avenues or whatever we call it. So I think it's extremely critical that we should also have two-wheelers in all these forums. Well, last year I think was a watershed year, especially for auto logistics. I was talking to Rajiv also separately. We had become used to see a lot of misses in the past, but now it seems that we may see a lot of things which are happening positively also. And if we start talking of positives, one is definitely there is a revival in the industry. I think we all can say that. Yes, it's much below our expectations. And last year also I said we always have to remember that we are not playing a T20, we are playing a test match. Now, only unfortunate part is, I know Louis is already laughing, the test match have started lasting only 3 days now. So that's the reason we are becoming more impatient, it looks like. But otherwise, I think there's a lot of positivity which is there. We have a huge hope of getting GST. The analogy of wolf which we talk about, I think unfortunately now the wolf is getting literally tired of knocking on the door. But I still feel GST should happen sooner or later. I think, I won't say even later, it's going to happen very soon. The one other thing about is that the exports from India have declined by almost 20% in the last year. But auto is the only industry where the exports have gone up, which I see as a good positive. Despite a 20% decline in the total exports from India, if you talk of others, the new road safety norms, whether those new CV norms, which we call this, for example, the ABS coming into play, lot of activity has started happening on the highways also, construction of new highways. I know in one of the conference, I met some doubting Thomases. They said, we don't go by the published figure. Even if you don't go by that published figure, I think there's something called which is very much visible. So you cannot ignore the visible progress which is clearly there. The emission norms getting tighter day by day. The phase migration to Bharat Stage 4, which has already been announced. I think it's going to really help. The long pending issue of trailer dimension. I think a lot has been spoken about it. And the best part is, while everyone is taking the credit for that, but the better part is at least it is happening. So I think that is more important. And we also, the president of the association has also already put the fear of God on all of us, among all the OEMs about the cost prices going up and what all is going to happen. Yes, on the driver front, what they say that unfortunately if you wear a mask for too long, it becomes your face. But I can only say that all these OEMs have done lot of things on the driver front also. It might be a pie in the sky, but a lot of things have happened in the last year. People have started realizing that how critical it is. But unfortunately, it is not getting highlighted the way it should be. Now, if just for a moment I can just wear my company hat, I do not know how many would be knowing that we had a function, that Prima race, what we call it. There were more than 5,000 drivers which came with the families to attend the function. This is the first time any organization had done a thing like this, 5,000 drivers from various nooks and corners of the country. And we are grateful to all our logistics partners, all our transporters, who paid the bill for that, who paid them for getting those people all the way from wherever they belong to, looking after all the hospitality needs, whatever is there. It's not a small number, so a lot of things are happening, but yes, it's still a pie in the sky, I accept it. Certain misses which we can talk about is the railways. Unfortunately, with the due apologies. I think it is still just there. I don't think much has happened on that front. And I only hope that the DFC, I know that it may not be appreciated by the DSC, and this also does not turn out to be a damp squib like AFTO for auto. I'm specifically saying for the auto logistics. Collaboration. Now, again, this is topic I think we have been discussing, and unfortunately, it is still more by default than by design. But one good thing which I came to know, I'm aware of it rather, is what has happened between the WWL and the Bombay Trust Post and the AL. I think it's a very good development, and I think it can really take us to a very long way. One good thing which I would also like to add about collaboration is that in the last Siam conclave, I think this was the first time when I say the green shoots are visible. I think for the first time, I think Mr. Deepak Sharma was also there, that all two-wheeler and four-wheeler OEMs have agreed to have a common LSP. He could be for various segments of supply chain, but I think it's a huge, huge development where all of them have agreed that yes, we need to collaborate, otherwise things are not going to be good. Okay, so that was the background which I thought, and now with this as the background, what I would like to have from the panel, what they feel would be the defining moment of the auto logistics in the coming year. Now, that is what I think we would like to spend some time on that. Just two more points. We all know that consumption needs to pick up, only then the investment is going to follow. Can seventh pay commission be a game changer? I don't know. But if we go by the past record, when the sixth pay commission was there some 8 years back, it did impact two-wheelers and durable industry to quite an extent. But at the same time, we have to remember that this is, we have had 2 consecutive bad monsoons, and we are still quite a lot dependent on that. So I would open up the debate, and I think we can start with Rajiv. So Jasjeet deliberately didn't sit in the corner this time, otherwise, he knows it's him who has to normally do it. So what do you think is going to be the defining moment of auto logistics in this year?
So thanks. It's always easy to speak in the beginning. So Prem takes steel in that, but thanks, Prem, for the opportunity. Clearly, everybody. So first of all, talking about growth, I think the general sentiment is on the positive side. I think all of us have been in business for very long, and deep inside, all of us know that outcomes take time. But if we all see that the right actions are happening, the long-term business thinker in us knows deep inside that the future is going to be better than what it is today. 2 years back, when we were looking at a lot of uncertainty, and even uncertainty from just having a good was very high 2 years back. But I think a lot of that has gotten removed. And while volatility and uncertainty is the order of the future, at least that one uncertainty is out. But it has not translated into all the action that we wanted. We are realizing and we are seeing even a very powerful election doesn't lead to immediately powerful force in the parliament to pass reforms and bills, but a lot of action is in the right track. Some recent events have probably also created a better environment for collaboration, which will hopefully enable a better regulatory change, and all of us are crossing our fingers for GST. There were some doubts a few months back whether we are really going to see it within a year, but I think the chances are very positive. So defining moments is continued. I think there is high level of confidence that continued momentum of reforms is going to be there. If that happens, we will see some positive announcements in the economy about big projects. Consumption is slow to pick up. Our view is it will remain a bit slow. even though inflation is a bit down. The commercial vehicle sector is on the rebound. We should continue to see that. Domestic consumption on cars, the pay commission angle, we know that the smart salesmen and all the car companies and the two-wheeler companies are going to look at those pockets and try and get that market, so it should have a positive impact. But one thing that is very high on everybody's agenda in India is to push out automotive exports, but globally the landscape and the markets are not very buoyant. So seeing huge growth in exports may take time, even though it's on the agenda of every OEM. So if India is going to grow in exports, the OEMs will balance some capacity somewhere else. So because it's sort of a zero sum, the global markets are not growing that much. So if we are going to export somebody else's, it's going to be a loser there. But overall positive, defining moments are still GST, good consistent reforms and domestic consumption increase.
So when you say defining moment for GST and all these things, are you saying for auto industry or you are saying for auto logistics industry? Because my question was specifically for auto logistics industry.
So the reason I say GST is a defining moment because GST will spur very high confidence in the economy. We will see investments and we will also see possibly a spike up in GDP. All of that creates, according to me, jobs and salary increases, which creates auto and therefore auto logistics.
Don't you think that the way the international prices of the Brent crude came down,
Right.
that should have also had the same impact? But we are not seeing the same impact in the last 1.5, 2 years, what has been happening?
True. So we will, I think the best development for India in the last 1.5 years, economic development, you know, I hope one doesn't get shooted for it, was actually not the BJP winning a historic mandate, but it was essentially oil coming down, which helped our inflation come down and which brought a lot of relaxation and sanity to everything else. But macroeconomics, stability, and betterment translating into consumption demand, there is a lag that is needed. So I think GST will be an indicator of boost of activity
So
and sentiment
all these things which you are saying are going to spur up the demand
in time.
in time.
In time.
1 year, 2 years horizon.
Pay commission will
Fair
get
enough.
some triggers, some OEMs will have better sales, but in time.
Yeah.
In
But then again, coming to the question of Louis, which I came to ask yesterday, that in case all these things start happening, do you think our auto industry, logistics is geared up for all that? So what would be the defining moment there? Let's say the market doubles up in the next 2 years. What do we do?
I think auto logistics, OEMs will confess, except for a few leading OEMs, that they are not, none of them is geared up to meet doubling of volumes.
Okay.
Everybody is concerned, and I don't know what's the mecca or solution out there, but everybody needs to work on that side, is my view.
Fair enough. Okay, let me just move to Jasjeet. Jasjeet, what do you think is going to be the defining moment? I do appreciate what you said is absolutely right, the ownership versus pay as use, and so that basically we're talking about is a collaboration. That's how it's going to happen. But what do you think as an LSP is going to be the defining moment of auto logistics?
Thank you, sir. I think I spoke to somebody during the tea break that we have a rule and we have a practice of doing things. Over time, the practice becomes the rule. And we have been running our businesses based on a practice which was the rule. We are seeing a semblance of that coming back, the rule coming back. And I'm speaking about the CMVR guidelines. This year has been a bit of flux. Nobody invested into capacity. People did not know what to make, how to make. I think we are probably at the fag end of that. So the rule of the law probably would come in. And this also goes with further in terms of the stricter CMVR guidelines. So that I see for the next conference when we meet again is going to be a major part. In the GST, I think there's a lot of activity which has to be done, but won't really yield any top line. It might take something of the bottom line. Yesterday, a colleague of mine gave a whole GST wheel of compliance. It's going to become quite complicated. It's a tax reform. It will take time settling down. There will still be time for that.
Okay, let me ask you a question very directly. Because, when you said ownership versus pay as you use and things, do you think in India, the OEMs or all those associated with that, who are responsible for logistics movement, have they overcome the fear that in case you outsource, you may lose your soul?
I think in the case of automotive CBU logistics, because capacity has been very major, people are a bit sentimental about that. They don't want to lose touch with the truck owner per se. And since there's certain size to it, there is a fear of failure. So people don't want to experiment with that. We do talk about 3PL, LLPs in a broad sense of the word, but we don't really practice that. And I spoke about it in the morning today, that the whole transport industry, now the transport industry would have more than 30 billion vehicles, and they completely work on a arrangement with people who are called the commission agents or brokers, who collaborate and ensure that demand supply is always balanced. You won't have a normal truck standing in Delhi who's saying that I won't give you a load in Delhi at all, or somebody standing in Pune or in Chennai. But in the case of car carriers, we have made...
So in the pecking order, let's say on the defining moments, what will be your pecking order? Will it be collaboration? Will it be GST? I don't know what it would be. What do you think?
I think what we spoke about the morning was a free economy. In the free economy, we need to move away from restrictions. When we restrict that, I want to go to business only with these few people, and these people are going to dedicate it to my business and not with the others. We are creating barriers to that.
I don't think, Jasjeet, free economy means really that. There have been a lot of countries, they talk of free economy, but still they talk of, when I see about Louis having these conferences in other parts of the world, they still talk of collaborations. They have been having free economy for years. So I really don't know whether free economy is going to change the mindset of the people. So that is my moot question. Do you think, because the biggest fear at the moment, if you talk to anyone, is the moment you talk of outsource, they say, we will lose our soul. And when I say soul, I'm not talking in the literal meaning of it.
If you give me a minute more to answer that. Typically, our industry hasn't seen any shorten last year, despite no trailers being made. And that shortage we would probably start seeing after capacities come down. When they start coming down, people normally make friends out of conveniences, out of issues. They don't make friends in the good times. And my sense would be that when people are pressed against the wall, when there's no other alternative, only then people would look at.
So you're talking of collaboration by default and not by design. And do you think how long that's going to last? Anything which happens by default and not by design doesn't last long. And I know you don't need a rocket science to prove it. So how do you think we can have a situation where it is by design? I'm really telling you, we discuss about it also, what has happened between AL, Bombay Port, and WWL is fantastic. It might be, again, a pie in the sky, but how come we have a situation where we start collaborating by design?
I think that was a win-win approach. Everybody needed that. Collaboration is when you're doing something for the other person, knowing that that person might gain a bit more than you would gain. So that is collaboration. And this was a case more of a business proposition where everybody had something to gain. I think
I think in collaboration, it's always there. It's a given thing that everybody has to gain. The percentage might vary from this thing, but everybody has to gain. Okay, I think let me just move to Bill. I'll come back to Jasjeet. So Bill, the same question to you, but before you answer, I thought just 2 or 3 things. I must tell you that, we Indians always thrive on chaos. The presentation which you were making there, so I must tell you, we thrive on chaos. And I'm not defending what you were showing. That's absolutely true. But despite all that, we have survived well. And despite that, we have grown also pretty reasonably. And when you were talking of legislations, that you are a rumor. So there's one more thing about India, which I must tell you, that we always buy rumors and sell the news. So that's what the greatness of we Indians. So please tell me what you think is going to be, with this as the background, a defining moment for auto logistics.
Thank you, Prem. Of course, I'm new to the India market. I'm not from here. Our experience is North America, Europe, and we can see what's going on over there and the similarities that are taking place here in India. I see very many similarities. One thing I think that's common throughout the world right now is the reduced price of oil. I think that has likely created a more stable economic platform for all countries to leverage. When the price of energy drops in half, this must mean something good for economic development throughout the world. So I think that's probably affected India, not just because it's a condition of India, but it's a worldwide thing. So that to me, I think, was a critical point here that's going to help continue with the auto logistics industry, or in the auto sales industry, to continue to increase for the next several years. Another key point, of course, the legislation thing. I think it's critical. My observation, again, we've been involved in several initiatives around the world trying to get legislation passed. In the US, as I announced earlier, we actually crossed a major milestone there. We actually made a historic difference, because it's never been done before. Be able to transport cars and freight, imagine that. It's
Unfortunately, in India, that's not allowed.
yeah.
You cannot influence the passing of the legislation the way it's allowed in US.
Understood, but that's not, I don't profess to know anything about that here in India, but I'm going to say that whatever the process is here, it will eventually happen, as long as there's collective a voice that's going to the governing bodies here, that you're gonna get there. Just gotta stay persistent, and I think that's going to be a defining moment for everybody
So
here.
you feel the passing of the various legislations is going to be the defining moment?
It definitely is going to be one key point
Okay.
of several points, I think.
And let's say if you have to pick up another one besides legislation?
Definitely infrastructure in India. That's a major point. The biggest observation that I have seen here is the number of kilometers, for example. The productivity of one piece of equipment, one individual behind the wheel in a day, when it is 1/3 that of other countries, how can you possibly compete on that level? Your infrastructure must improve. More productivity has to come out of these assets that are distributing vehicles throughout the country. So that, I believe, will be a defining moment.
Okay, great. So let me just move to Mr. Deepak Sharma. Yes, with the background of, you have an experience of four-wheelers, you have a good experience now of two-wheelers. So what do you think, if I have to talk of complete auto logistics industry, okay, for a moment, let's forget about the commercial vehicles or the others. But okay, commercial vehicles are more or less when they come in part of the four-wheelers. So what do you think is going to be the defining moment?
Actually, with all these macroeconomic factors improving, so there is a very good opportunity for us to improve the logistics. When we talk of improving logistics, there are three key factors: integration, consolidation, and multi-mode transportation. So although we are talking of all these three factors for last, I think, for many, many years, but still if you see, more than 95% of the finished vehicle are still moved by road. So when you talk of more than 5 million four-wheeler, more than 50 million two-wheeler in 2020 or 2022, you cannot depend upon the road. So what I feel, there with the GST coming in, with the government's initiative, there is a very good opportunity for all of us to now move in this direction and to develop all these multimodal. Now when we talk of multimode, the railway is going to play a very key role. Coastal shipping is also going to play a key role. With great difficulty, you're also a member of that Siam Logistic Group. With great difficulty, we had requested railway, and they have come out with the AFTO policy. They are willing to extend further support whatsoever is required. But the only thing what is required here is to, develop some sort of collaborative logistics among the OEMs. two-wheelers and four-wheelers. So this is the right time, and we all of us must think in this direction very seriously and develop this. We should take a target and see that target is met. Today we are at, I think, 4%, four-wheeler, two-wheeler is less than 2%. So if we combine both these volumes, we should take a target of at least moving 10% in the first phase, then 20%.
So basically, if I can summarize what you've said, you're saying the two critical things is one is the mode of movement,
Yeah.
and the second is collaboration.
Correct.
Because in case we're really looking at multimodal seriously, so whether this thing. Okay, fair enough. So I'll come back to you. Now let me move to Shailendra. Do you think could be a possibility, besides on the same thing, on the defining moment, that do you think there could be a possibility of four-wheeler and two-wheelers really joining hands together?
I was contemplating at the start when Rajiv started that probably, all the points that would be required to be covered till the time I get the opportunity would have been exhausted.
I made sure one is there at least.
But then I found out that all the points that I have kept on this scribble book, almost all have remained. So either these are too routine or too abstract. So with that background, probably what I would like to point out here is, if you look at the collaboration, there is a basic requirement for collaboration, which is trust. And I talked about this yesterday also. Definitely there is a possibility to collaborate not only between two-wheelers and four-wheelers, but also anybody else. And I have a strong belief that the collaboration need not be only in auto sector. The collaboration would be across the sectors, because our competitors or our collaborators, whoever we perceive, are not each other. So for example, four-wheelers are not competitors for two-wheelers. Aeroplane is not a competitor for example, train, and train is not a competitor for cars. And similarly, trains are not a competitor for trucks. We all perceive that way because we feel that the business is taken from one another. However, competitor is somebody else who will completely redefine the things. For example, for me, for the automotive sector or automotive logistics in all, the competitor would be IT, because they will kill the need for transportation. Whoever is going to kill the need for the transportation is actually our real competitor.
No, I'm sorry, I don't agree with you there. See, how can IT kill? Because the goods movement still has to be there. If I'm hungry and I'm sitting in Mumbai, if I don't get the food, I can't even go on the net. Not going to fill up my stomach. So transportation is required. Which mode, whatever mode, that's another thing. But I still can't believe that IT is going to solve yes, IT can be a facilitator, I understand. But IT cannot solve the problem of transportation, or IT cannot solve, IT can be a facilitator for logistics, supply chain management, but it cannot solve the problem of transportation.
It's great that you pointed out this question, and I was waiting for this question for long.
Good.
And
Then let me also put you one more question before you so that you can answer both of them together. When we talk of trust, when we talk of this thing, I think also feel that the charity begins at home, and you know what I am referring to when we talk of collaboration. So let's answer both the questions.
Okay. So let me answer the first one first.
Yeah.
This is the concept that we are talking about till now, that IT is not our competitor, is the conventional way of thinking. And we tend to believe that way because we have been seeing that way, thinking as long as it's possible. But it's going to change very soon. And there are green shoots in that direction. Why? Just 2 months back, my batchmates across the world, I shared this example yesterday also, one sitting in New York, one in Tokyo, got married, and there were 400 people from across the world sitting across in their own country, in their own homes, participating in that wedding ceremony in real life on Second Life, all virtual. having their own food at the place.
Shailendra, I'm
all
again
time-
going
let
to
me-
budge in. No,
let-
no,
let me
no.
come-
I'm sorry. I'm
let me-
sorry. We are digressing.
No, no, we are not
They
digressing.
can get married. They can do all these things. I don't think whether they can have honeymoon also or not. But definitely, but definitely, suppose for a moment, getting married in Tokyo, and somebody said, listen, we have 400 people having look at you from the various nooks and corners of the world, but there is something called, I don't know if they have a tradition the way we have in India, that both of you have to exchange garlands, and that garland has to come only from India. Do you think transportation is required or no?
So would you allow me just 2 minutes to complete?
Yes,
this?
please. No, we should not digress.
No,
That's
we
the
are-
only problem.
We are not digressing.
Okay.
See, in a wedding ceremony, 400 people are physically being transported from one place to another. What is the basic need? Transporting humans from place A to place B, and they are consolidating, coming together at one place to solemnize the wedding. So this is the basic need of transportation. You have 400 cars going from various places and joining together. Probably some may be coming by plane, somebody may be coming by train. But what is the need? The basic need is to transport these people physically. If somebody is able to kill that need of transportation these people across the world, he becomes a competitor.
Shailendra, I again come back. What about the hunger?
Yes.
If I have to eat food, what do I do?
Yes.
Do I just go on the net, go on the television and do what?
So what they
So
did was,
please, let's discuss.
So
in
what they did
case
was-
what about the consumption?
again,
I
convention-
understand that because what you have explained, I understand, but all these technology which is there, it's not necessary. If 20 years back, somebody had to go to see a grandchild, he might travel all the way, he wants to visit the grandchild or whatever it is. Now all these things are available, they can see the grandchild growing every day. But what I'm saying is, if the same, the grandmother wants to send something to a grandchild, it still has to be transported. It can be by courier, train, plane, whatever it is. So my question again comes back to the same thing. Do you think is transportation critical or not? Or do you think IT is going to replace transportation? Yes, movement of the people, I agree with you. It has already started happening. But what about goods?
yes, that will also change. So the point that I want to put across here is, you referred for food. So for all these 400 people, pre-planned orders were given, and there was a last mile which provided food to all the people who were joining at 400 places across the world, and food was provided from a last mile connectivity. So from 1,000-kilometer transfer of one person
You have
to
still
another
not
person.
answered my garland question. Anyway, let me move to Bill. So Bill, my question to you, which you also raised it. You said when you were making the presentation about the habits, So I know, nowadays the biggest, always have been, not only nowadays, biggest challenge is making someone unlearn. Making someone unlearn or change the habits. So in this context, where do you think, when we are talking of logistics industry for the next 2 years to 5 years, what do you see there? What do you think is the biggest challenge making someone unlearn? We have discussed about collaboration. We have discussed about, basically collaboration, but what is the thing is the other challenge going to be?
Well, you might not like my answer here, but I'm.
No,
gonna
it
go with
doesn't
it
matter.
anyhow.
Audience should like it. Forget about me.
So I've been going out to the industry and spreading the message that, hey, we should do something with our empty miles, et cetera, and I do get a lot of blank stares from, I'm going to say this, no disrespect to anybody my age and older, but the old people just seem a little bit more reluctant to it. You know what, the new generation, the youth of each of our countries, our societies, are what is going to save us here, because they see the future. They're going to live the future, obviously. They plan to be there, and they want to do a better job, and they have every right to do so. We need to support the youth as much as possible, let them entertain their ideas, their progressive ideas on many levels, on various levels. So, and again, this technology stuff, that's new age stuff. That's the youth, of course, is very supportive of that. But the actual real business of delivering equipment around the world, yes, it is. It's very real. We can't get away from that. How do we unlearn what we've already learned? We're just going to have to start right from the beginning. We have to create pilot projects and review every step of the process, one step at a time. and make sure that we meet all the requirements.
So
that
where do
were
you think it's
originally there.
stuck? Where do you think it's stuck? In case, because with your experience, which you're talking about, that why do you think it's, people have a fixed kind of thing, idea, or a mindset kind of thing about the empty miles? Is it, you see, because there are certain places, let's talk of India. Now, if in India, there is no auto industry per se in East, it is not there. So when these trailers have to come back, either they have to come back empty, or they have to put some household goods, or whatever is there. Now, you can't do anything. Now, you can say, why nobody has put an industry in Eastern India? Why nobody had thought about it 20 years back? Well, we can keep on discussing till the cows come back home. But besides, I'm saying where you have no choice, what do you think will be the message of yours for the empty miles? Is it a problem of the people who are operational? Is it the top level problem? What is the problem?
Where there's no options, this is what you're referring to? Well, what we do want to look at is the problem in a general sense, the collective problem of the industry. If we can reduce empty miles even by 1 mile.
No, but tell me how. Listen, it's all very easy to preach and say empty miles. I give you one example of Eastern region. What is in your mind basically when you say, because you spoke a lot about empty miles, I heard about that. What do you think could be a solution?
We need to get our information together into one central platform, into a neutral platform that every player can trust.
Okay?
That's the key. And then create this new transparency within the industry without identifying, creating some sort of private borders, if you will, where there is confidentiality of information, but yet transparency from a practical perspective where we know what product is moving in what direction and how we can better use
Yeah,
our
but Bill,
existing
if there are
assets.
certain tailor-made vehicles, tailor-made carriers, what exactly do we do? One can do for it.
Today's tailor-made
Yes,
carriers
let's
are
talk of today.
conventional carriers
Yes.
today.
Let's say there's a car carrier or a scooter. Scooter carrier, you can still do something, but for a car carrier, there are hydraulics inside.
Yeah.
What do you think can be done for that? Because, the forklift cannot go inside.
That's
I can bet all the LSP would jump on, if you have any idea, they would jump on it because it's a huge cost saving for OEMs, for LSPs, for everyone. But yes, if something is not being done by design, I'm not referring to that we know, yes, it can happen and it's not happening, okay, that, we will discuss it separately. But here, is there anything? Because trust, I agree with you. Trust, what you said is absolutely right. Because I strongly feel technology cannot replace trust. But is there anything which is in your mind?
With your existing assets the way they are, I truly don't know an answer for that. We considered at one time, should we undertake a program of refurbishment of existing assets so the hit isn't so big to convert to our style of logistics, convertible logistics. Maybe we could do that. And we had visited that issue 10 ways to Sunday, as we say. We could not find a consistent solution that could be used throughout.
Okay, so I think I find Anand Singh missing in case, people would love to have a solution if, he can find a solution where it can be used. Because a lot of people did try to use the four-wheelers and two-wheelers, but I don't think we got much success out of it. Okay, Rajiv, I come back to you. Now, see, we discuss about the technology, we discuss about the industry, the way it's growing. Now, what do you feel that, again, I come back to you on the same thing because I was not still satisfied with your answer at that time. Do you think was going to be the defining moment, considering all these things which you have just discussed?
I think if we put aside everything that we've discussed till now, I think the thing that both LSPs and the OEMs are looking for as a defining moment is enhanced collaboration. You gave the example of what's been done recently. I think when we are going to see enhanced collaboration, and collaboration may or may not happen between competitors or two-wheeler, four-wheelers, other consumer durables, I don't know. I mean, other ideas could come out too.
Yeah.
But as this starts becoming big news out there, the initial people will have to take the leap of trust. And I agree, somebody will gain a little bit more, a little bit less, but everybody is going to gain.
Yeah.
The LSPs are going to gain in terms of business, but the OEMs are also going to gain. Now, all OEMs are on a growth agenda. Mostly all OEMs are on a growth agenda. And I think they've done a lot of the time of their top management goes in sales, driving demand, coming up with newer models. A lot of the time has also gone into lower cost of parts, engineering and all of that. I think supply chain per se, not the parts, not the demand, but supply chain and logistics is going to go up on the agenda. People will want to look at it as strategically as in the past they've looked at operations, they've looked at sales, they've looked at PD. I mean, we have the leaders sitting here. This will go up on the agenda. They will drive
collaboration.
it. No, I think supply chain per se will go up on the agenda of all OEMs.
Yeah.
Leaders like Shailendra and Deepak will therefore drive more significant improvement in supply chains, which will not happen if we'll keep doing the things that we've done in the past. LSPs are already out there. So I think the missing link is collaboration. But more value extraction, OEMs love the idea when you can show them bigger value. Whether it is your hat, which you've taken off right now, or it's Maruti, or it's Hero, or whoever it is. More value when they can see in supply chain. I think the collaboration will get enhanced. The other thing, which is going to...
I don't know, the problem is they say that sometimes ship can leak from the top also. So I really don't know,
No.
because what I strongly feel that the young generation has to start moving in.
True.
If you talk of supply chain per se, I think the young generation has to start moving in.
But in OEMs,
And people like me have to start making way. So that is going to be extremely critical
It
for
is-
the new ideas to come in.
What
If
you-
I just to extend what you were
What
saying.
you said about unlearning is true.
Yes.
Young people will move in, but the fact is we all know the powers of decision, the powers of doing bold projects are still in the hands of the seniors.
Yeah, but you
So
see,
that balancing,
True, but and with due apologies to you because I know you thrive on numbers. We need to stop, that fixating on precise growth numbers. We keep on talking about it, and that sometimes can be misleading, and that sometimes can also lead to problems in this.
I totally agree.
So, we have we all know these are always best estimates which we always project. Sometimes they can be so misleading, they hit the supply chains planning for the next 2 years to 5 years.
And it has happened in the
It
past.
has happened.
It has happened. We
and
all look at
it has been very dangerous also for the
Yes,
supply chain.
but-
So sorry, I know
Move on.
because
Yeah.
I didn't want to say that, but I thought let me just say. Okay, Jasjeet, I come to you now. On this collaboration and all these things, which I again thrive when I talk about it, that do you think we in the next 2 to 3 years you're going to see any change in that?
Actually, collaboration is something which we've been speaking about for
Because why I'm asking you, sorry, is because what I could see is everybody is, very, they feel that it's going to be critical, but I really would like to know, is it really going to happen and are we making some efforts towards it?
Actually, if we see our industry, when we move a truck with the finished goods, it has to come back. So for us, the other side is also as dear a customer as the one who's sending that truck. So for us, we would love it if collaboration starts happening and there is more synergy and the same assets can be used by different providers. We also believe the cost will come down on that over time. The automotive industry always says the most mature in logistics, but I'll qualify that. It's most mature in production logistics. In production logistics, in just in time, in those matters, even in terms of aftermarket, it's very mature. But in terms of the CBU logistics, for reasons best known to the automakers themselves, the collaboration has been limited. And typically the talk of collaboration starts coming from the smaller players. The larger players, they have a longer game plan in their mind and they are using supply chain as a strategic tool. They are not wanting to use that as a support to an extended olive branch to other people. So it would be great if it happens, and we have got 3 or 4 problems right now. We have the problem of drivers, we have the problem of existing viability issues. and we have a problem of impending higher viability issues because we're going to get into the Euro norms, the trucks are going to get expensive, we're getting into speed governors, again a cost impact. With all these three, if the miles don't go up, we'll be in trouble. And if we are in trouble, who has to foot that bill? It's the OEMs. But that problem will come to the OEM after 6 months or a year. So what is the best way out? The best way out is how do we increase these miles and make sure that the empty miles is not there. Bill very correctly mentioned the current style of our vehicles is not conducive to carrying any other cargo. Even to carry other cargo, the problem is these are such long trailers, they can't get in anywhere, even if you want to.
Okay, I think so far I have not involved the audience. I think I missed that. So anybody, anybody would like to just say something? Yes, please. Louis, we have also not contributed so far this time.
Thank you. Hello. Yeah, my name is Rajesh, and I am referring to the comment made by Mr. Shailendra Singh, killing the need. So I think the competition we are talking about, or the solution we are talking about, is basically because of we are seeing a rise in requirement, demand, and challenges. But I think the relevant part is killing the need is one thing we should think about that, because the example of Uber and this Ola, which has been given, so that has actually reduced the need. Once, like if we have a need and then somebody is giving
I
us.
have not understood how it has reduced the need. They have given a solution. They have not reduced the need.
For a transporter or for a company who is running the car business, a car rental business, they have killed the need for them.
No, that's shifted. The business has just shifted. So it's a solution which they have provided. It has just shifted. So it could have shifted from somebody who used to have a fleet of 20 cars to these Uber or whoever they are, but just shifted. So I don't think it's killed the need. In fact, it has increased. If you really ask me, it has increased. Because earlier, in certain towns, you really didn't know how to get a cab, but now the cab is available. So I don't think it's killed the need.
But it is having a different perspective when you have a requirement and then that requirement is fulfilled by, let's say, 100 cabs. Now that requirement is fulfilled by 50 cabs. So the need is killed. 50 cabs are less.
I don't know. Yes, Raju.
Actually, when we see these technological progresses, whether it's Uber or the personal crowd, actually what tends to happen is they create new markets. So yes, there is some shift, so those 100 cabs get reduced to 50, but now more and more people start using cabs. So the 50 goes back to 100. It's all owned by Uber now, maybe. It's not owned by Meru, it's not owned by me and you. So ownership changes. Actually, transportation has kept on increasing. The threat of substitute, according to me, this is my view, maybe a view of some of the others, slightly different from Shailendra's view right now over here. Weddings will happen. 400 people, 500 people, or 100 or 40 people will go. But some weddings like this will also happen.
There will be more people participating in these weddings.
Sure.
So in case only 100 people could have gone physically participating, there could be 1,000 now participating.
But if you look at the larger context of transportation, where passenger vehicles is about passengers and the rest is about goods, I think the overall, with the growth of the economy, even with technological solutions, transportation will increase. Maybe people don't own cars.
Yeah.
That may be different, but somebody else will own those cars.
I think, let me clarify here. I think you have very relevantly pointed out this particular aspect, and I would not agree with Rajiv and Mr. Verma, who has already disagreed with my viewpoint here. But, we should first understand what is the need. It is very important to understand what is actually the particular need. Need is to transport, or need is to transport long distance? What is the actual need? So in principle, till now, the taxi business was working on garage to garage. Now Uber has, or all these companies have worked out a model which is point to point. So the concept of garage to garage, that is, there is a round trip concept, is being completely altered to a point-to-point concept. It will happen in probably the cargo business also. Today we have a a round trip concept, tomorrow it will be a point-to-point concept, as Mr. Jasjeet has also pointed out that the return load is also equally important. So probably if they are able to consolidate and find out a return load, probably even 100 kilometers away, they would like to pick it and work on a productivity level which would give them extraordinary efficiencies. That will happen. So you very relevantly pointed out this aspect that need has been altered. A earlier need which was long distance has been killed. A new need which is a short distance haul has been created. Now whoever is going to work out that particular model in the most efficient way will win the situation.
Correct.
Even though garland, not all people require garlands to get married. Today, you actually need the kiss to get married.
Oh God.
So,
Let's not try that here. Okay. Fair enough. Anybody else?
kisses are
The
getting
garland was
virtual.
an example. There are some other examples I can give you, but I can't give you here now. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah. Please. Can somebody give him the mic?
We've been discussing.
Can you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah, I'm Ashwin Balaji. I'm sorry about that. We've been discussing about a lot of factors here regarding the collaboration, the bills that has to be passed through the parliament, and the utilization of capacity, even for the backhaul. But the need of the hour that the world is looking at right now is reducing carbon emission. Looking at the automobile logistics industry of India, it is primarily dominated by trucks. So in the short-term goal, I don't see anything happening. But do you think we need to start taking these steps right now in order to, enhance collaboration right now, so in order to reduce the carbon emission, which we have boldly suggested about 30% reduction by 2030? Will that be possible? Do you think any changes would actually happen by the next time we meet here, next year, or probably after that?
Yeah, I think Bharat Stage 4 will definitely happen when we meet here next time, because that's what that has been cleared. So that definitely is going to happen. I don't know about other things. I really don't know in the next 12 months, or if Umesh has, or Bill has some better information, whether how much is going to happen on the AFTO front or the inland waterways. Yes, work is happening, but Bharat Stage 4 is happening because that's the rule has already been passed, and from October it has started in some select cities, and some more cities will come in the phased manner. Okay, anybody else?
Should I just add on to this point?
Please, please.
I think very relevant point. A lot of activities are going into that direction. We have just done trials in inland waterways. Others are also doing it. So clean mode of transportation are being explored. There are other activities which are going on. For example, normally the trucks which are plying onto the roads now, they give a fuel efficiency of around 2 kilometers per liter, 2.5 kilometers per liter. A lot of activities are going in the direction of increasing the fuel efficiency. And we expect that some new technologies are expected to come in the time to come, and the fuel efficiency will significantly improve shortly. So BS4 and BS5, these are just going to be, some sort of, capping the emissions only. But by increasing the fuel efficiency, the total carbon emissions and the NOx emissions would also be taken care of, because unless we go ahead with fuel emissions, and it has already happened in the car business, probably you would know that, new technologies like semi-hybrid, or to some extent not true hybrids, but some level of hybrids have already come up, which are giving fuel efficiencies of around 25 kilometers per liter. In two-wheelers also you get fuel efficiencies of 75 to 80 or even 100 kilometers per liter. So a lot of technologies are now available which will be captured in the truck business or in transportation business also. And rail business is also expected to come up very significantly, which will earn, which will reduce emissions significantly. So I think activities are going on.
I think the point what he was mentioning, that there is a need to divert from the trucks, because still more than 95% are moved by trucks. So a group in SIAM with members from all the leading OEMs is already working in this direction. In fact, in the last meeting itself, we have taken a decision that all of us are going to have a common park in Guwahati, so that there can be a collaborative logistics and maximum dispatches could happen through the rail mode. So the work is already going on.
Yeah, but just there is a rider on that. Jasjeet has just scared me. That can only be successful if the bigger players also join and not only the smaller players. Otherwise, that will not see the economies of scales will not work out, Jasjeet. So I only hope the bigger players also do join in that. Okay, good. So in fact, I wanted to, Mr. Sharma, I wanted to, this thing, on the smaller players and bigger players, this issue, do you think the bigger players, why don't they want to collaborate with the smaller player? Any particular reason? I know you are a big player in whatever you are doing or whatever you have done so far.
No, you know, when we talk of collaboration, it's not necessary that OEMs only collaborate. Collaboration means we should try to develop a common 3PL who should develop a common.
In fact, I'm just stopping you. Can you give me one example which has been successful with only collaboration of OEM and auto, without LSP?
No, we did a trial, I think sometime in 2010 or
No,
11.
but with LSPs. You had to involve an LSP. So this is what, whether it's you call it 3PL, 4PL, whatever you want to call it. And I don't hold a brief from LSPs or 3PLs, but I always felt that this is the most important link, and we keep on missing this link.
Yes, that's right.
Okay, sorry, I stopped you. The small players, big players, you have not answered that.
No, what I was trying to say, the collaboration is not necessarily between two OEMs. Collaboration, what we are trying to say, there has to be some, common facilities, common infrastructure should be shared by
So
OEMs.
are you saying small players and big players and LSPs also can be critical, Jasjeet?
I think for anything to take place for economy of scale, when you are looking at logistics, you have to look at holistically at overall cost. And when you have a friendship and you go Dutch with a few friends, then you divide the bill by number of people who are at the table. Or you say, no, I did not have that wine, so please take that off my bill. So if you are doing nitpicking, then it's not possible to collaborate. So you have to give and take. Overall, it balances out. And what you have to see is, am I paying lower than I would have paid if I were doing it alone? If that equation, the answer is yes, then collaboration works.
Okay, so the small players and big players issue doesn't come there then. It's not that the big player has to take a bigger pie of the bill, or not the bill, the other bill, this thing,
Actually,
and
they do
how it's
take-
to be done.
They do take a bigger pie of the bill already, the larger players. They have to create capacity, they have to underwrite volumes. They already do that. But
How do they do that? What I'm asking is, suppose there's a train which can carry 100 vehicles, because I have a 50% market share, so even if I put 30 cars in 100 train, I'll take 50% of the bill? That doesn't happen, Jasjeet.
I think
How do they take a bigger bill?
the bigger bill is not in that train per se, but in terms of creating
No, we are
capacity.
talking of logistics at the
In
moment.
terms of creating capacity, the capacity is generally created by people who are larger in size. And that is true for both two-wheeler and four-wheeler industry in India as well. They are the ones who create the capacity, and as of now, most of these plants are in the north. So the capacity is created in the north.
No,
and
I have not understood, Jasjeet. We are talking of auto logistics collaboration. Now, whether it's a big player, if he's a big player, which means he's producing more, which means he's transporting more. But that's good, because he thinks he has a business model which can sell more. But when it comes to logistics movement, how does it make a difference whether he's a big player or a small player? Because if he is going to move as per his demand or as per his producing. So why do you think, why do you say that they're already taking a bigger share in the expense?
In my view, for any logistics to take place, you have to come back to the point of origin or the nearest point to that. And if you've got more volumes going out of your plant and less coming in, they will have to take a little bit larger piece of that bill. How much they take and how much balance is there now is far better than it was there a few years ago. There's more balance now, I'll admit that. But till a few years ago, that balance was not.
Rajiv, you agree with him?
I think what the point that Jasjeet was making earlier is that at the end, the freight will be shared based on the volumes that both of them have put on the train.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
all of
that's what I
that.
thought
But
so.
and if every player thinks that, what I'm paying now is for me more optimal than what I would have paid without this, then there is a business case for that player. But if he's going to think that if I was not there in this scheme, my work would have still happened, but those guys would have really not got this benefit. So clearly, when a big player enters, he's actually providing benefit to the ecosystem. And it's only when he enters that the ecosystem will start becoming very successful, because LSPs will also compete then. So I think to that sense, The big player also gains. The gain is in fair share, but he's also contributing to creation of that gain for everybody.
In fact, Jasjeet, if really it happens, it can be a fantastic thing, to be really honest with you. I think it's the most ideal solution or most ideal situation. There's only one area where I also strongly feel that yes, it's always the responsibility of a big player, and that is innovation. So you would have seen that then when it comes to innovation, that it normally is the bigger players who innovate, and it's the smaller players can also piggy ride on that, if they do allow that piggy ride. Otherwise, yes, they sit on the corner. But that is the most ideal situation it can be. I fully agree with you that yes, maybe not directly, but indirectly they do take a bigger, the bill. Their bill is much bigger. Okay, I think I can't see how much time we have more, Louis. Okay, so we have to wrap it up now. Okay, great. So anybody else from the audience before we just conclude it? Yeah, you're not the audience, just I'll come to you. We would not like to be part of the audience for this panel. Yeah, anybody else? Yes, Jasjeet. Let's wrap it up.
I have a request actually to all the OEMs, the largest players, and if you can just wear Tata Motors hat back again for a moment. And Shailendra is also here, and so is Hero. Is that last year we have sort of lobbying together and we are getting some semblance of the Motor Vehicle Act. There is one act which is very critical to us, and if that can be done, then the next year it will save every lot of effort and money. And that is, I would use a word from Bill here, which is legislation. You see, in our business case, the prime mover is going to get more expensive over time. And when you're carrying the cargo, you're carrying in the trailer, not in the prime mover. So my request to the OEMs would be to start looking at decoupling the trailer and the prime mover. We can, over time, look at legislation and use a shunt truck to load the assets from your plant, park it into a yard, and we have a prime mover which is running between the highways where the vehicle is covering 10 to 12,000 kilometers a month. And that is viable for the driver, it is viable for the vehicle also. Because today we have, in terms of driver kilometers, it is drivers into 5,000 kilometers. If that becomes 10,000, our problems get solved. It's very easy for us to get drivers for local operation, shunt trucks. He can go home every night. He goes to, let's say, to Maruti, picks up a car, goes to park in a Manesar yard, goes to a Hero from Daruheda or to Tata Motors.
Okay, so, let me just wear my Siam hat for a moment because you allowed me to change the hat. We have already, I think Mr. Sharma is aware of it. In the last meeting also we discussed, there was another meeting which I happened to attend with the MORTH. We have already raised this issue that the registration of both these should be separate. And we are working on that. I don't know, I can't commit to you when will it happen, but they have also understood that how important it is how important it is for not only for auto industry but for the entire all the, whether it's steel or movement of coil or cement or anything, because then you can use the same prime mover. If you are dealing in 4 or 5 different product lines, you can use the same prime mover. You don't have to invest every time in a prime mover also.
Another point
Yeah.
to complete that. So
Yeah.
if I come to Maruti and I'm registered there, I just load in a trailer which is compatible with Maruti. And the line haul company can be somebody else. It could be Vipul's company for that matter. It should not matter to Maruti who's doing the line haul, and same to Hero. Because that's what happens universally, that you have separate companies for line haul and separate companies for local. As long as the container is sealed, it should not matter to you how that is done.
Sure,
And
I agree.
when we talk about Uber and other examples, which are very high, let us kind of look in the reflection in the mirror and see what are we doing towards that. We know those are there. Can we be at least adapters? We are not the originators of that idea. Can we adapt, and how much can we adapt?
Yeah. Yes, Mr. Sharma. You would like any concluding things now? The last comments.
One message, I would like to convey, because a lot of global players are also here. Now with this CMVR rule coming in, the capacity of two-wheeler truck is going down by 35 to 40%, and the cost is going up. So, we would welcome any innovation. If somebody can come up with new ideas how to increase the capacity within the CMVR, how to reduce the cost. So there is an urgent requirement of over, I think, 2,000 trucks immediately to manage the current logistics. And if we talk of next 3 to 5 years, the requirement is huge. So if anybody can come up with this kind of idea,
Sure.
we would welcome that.
I feel that once this GST really comes in and all these changes do come in,
Yeah.
I feel there are a lot of fence sitters. I'm sure they would like to participate because all said and done, we are a growing market. And if people would be, the other European countries will be willing to give their left arm to have this kind of GDP. So I think so, yeah. Bill?
And especially, sorry, just one more
Sorry,
minute.
yeah.
And especially with the GST coming in now, so a lot of distribution centers, auto hubs for the rail mode or coastal. So if anybody is interested, they can come and have discussions with us. We would welcome all those suggestions.
Yeah, Bill.
Well, after hearing all of the debates here about the various aspects, what's going to be the turning point in automotive logistics here in India, I just would like to see everybody keep an open mind at the very least about the new possibilities to do things that haven't been done before. That's the only possible way that we're going to get to that new level of efficiency. There is no denying, there is no avoiding the fact that our assets are underutilized as they stand today, and we must do a better job to fill them out. We have the technology. Do we have the will? Do we have the drive to do it? That's really my comments.
I fully agree with you. You see, because as you said, you still don't have much experience for India. So in India, there's one thing you will have to really remember, that you have to be able to manage Mavericks also. You cannot have clones around always.
Understood.
Yes, Rajiv.
I think the ending comments are very positive. I think there is open-mindedness here being expressed very openly. From a service provider, it's about saying that we should be open, and the OEMs are themselves saying. So I think that's a very positive sign. The technological progress around supply chain will happen because that's sort of outside both the OEM and the LSP. The technology will come in and enable everybody be more efficient, including the suppliers and the dealers. So I think possibly good time. The only thing I feel is I think there is more value that can be created by the OEMs in this whole supply chain. They need to step up the agenda and solve all the problems. I mean, including as much as the problem of the trainings and handling. And I think just like OEMs in the past have undertaken complex programs to do other aspects of their business, the focus now should be on supply chain too.
Okay. So, Shailendra, coming to not last, the only thing that you might disagree with me, but till the time you're not disagreeable, I have no problems. Last comments, all yours.
I wish to thank each one of you for listening to the panel and to me. And it has been an enriching experience. We look forward to interact with you. All of you are experts in your respective area. So there is nothing that we could share with you which would have enriched your learning beyond your respective area. But definitely, we shared our own way of thinking. And we look forward to interact with you. If you have a bright idea where you feel that as an organization we can contribute, feel free to get back to us. And we are really grateful for you to have come here and listen to us.
Okay, so I wrap it up. Thank you very much. Thank you, Louis, for this program, and thank you for still keeping me on this panel. So thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'll try and keep my wrap-up short, a bit like me. So firstly, the evaluation forms. The evaluation forms are very important to us. So please, if you haven't completed them, complete them now or wave them in the air like Neville Chamberlain did in 19... Anyway. They're very important. So please take the time to complete them. I hope you've had a good 2 days, learned a bit, shared information for the greater good. I think the program reflected some of the big issues, the driver shortages, multimodal networks, smart factories, and the role that logistics will play in making India a centre of automotive excellence. Unfortunately, obviously, the Chennai floods affected the conference, but we're also very aware that this is the least of the problems out there. The impact that the floods have had on people's lives, their homes, and the tragic deaths is is terrible. I'd like to thank our sponsors, our global sponsors, CHEP, CTM Law, and Wallenius Wilhelmsen Logistics, and our silver sponsors, APL Logistics, Vasco, TCI, and UTI. And I hope that those watching the conference live or the recordings enjoyed it. But there's nothing like being here, so make sure you attend next year. We're going to do a quick draw for the evaluation forms. The gift is, I think it's a meal for two in the hotel, in the restaurant downstairs, and or a bottle of wine. So I don't know how many of you are greedy, but we'll do the draw now anyway. But if you've still got an evaluation form, then we'll collect it afterwards. Your opinion is more important than a meal, for goodness sake. But it's easy for me to say because you only have to look at me to know that I don't eat a lot of food. Is Ishwar Garvi still here from Mahindra? No. Okay, I'll have one more pick. Otherwise, I'm not going to sit here going through the whole bowl. Yeah. Praveen Panwar from Bureau Veritas. Okay, so congratulations here. We'll bring them over to you for time constraints. And I made a bit of a mistake. It seems I accidentally picked up my notes for closing the conference for 2025 instead of 2015. But so let's go to the future. Hello, my name's Christopher Ludwig. For those who haven't seen me since 2015, this is what I look like now. Firstly, a message to the truck drivers here. Please don't park your Ferraris and Bentleys outside. The car maker logistics guys are getting very jealous of your newfound wealth. So, but enjoy your wealth while you can, because as you know, most of the trucks are auto-driven and autonomous-driven. Most of the vehicles are being delivered by drones, unless, of course, the ones that are now being 3D printed locally. Convertible trailers are now the norm, as you well know, and logistics is completely multimodal. It's good to see that packaging is now more efficient and boxes are no longer being lost as everyone's using pooling systems, obviously. And the really good news is that next year, in 2026, we believe that finally GST will be introduced. Now, I hope you enjoy that. The whole point of all of that was just so I could say that joke. I hope you enjoyed the conference, and I look forward to seeing you all for the celebration in 2016. This is Louis again, just in case there's any confusion. It's 2015. And I hope we can see you all next week for our celebration. In 2016 is our 10th Automotive Logistics Conference, Automotive Logistics India Conference. So it'll be a great event. We'll be working very hard to make it the celebration that your industry deserves. And as I said at the beginning of the conference, logistics in India is tough, but perhaps Frank Sinatra can say it a little bit better than me.
These little town blues are melting away. I'm gonna make a brand new start of it in old New York. And if I can make it there, I'm gonna make it anywhere. It's up to you, New York, New York, New York.
So if you can make it here, you can make it anywhere. New Delhi, New Delhi. Okay. Thank you very much.